Hello and welcome to Our Time. In a contradiction in terms, a zany comic side and a serious art approach from dance, surprise and humour in many and varied live performances, in caravans to silent street discos to Wuthering Heights. She has a PhD in screen and live dance to flesh the interface. I'll have to find out what that means. What sort of person has achieved this, and what does all I just said actually mean? Well, meet Dianne Reid. Dianne, hello.
I'm exhausted by myself.
Me too, me too. This is like coming back home for you, isn't it?
It is. I studied at this campus back in the early 80s, and it was quite strange
was
driving
this built in the early 80s? But in this very studio...
I performed to Lou Reid's makeup, putting on makeup. It was some sort of, film and drama test mix. I've got the film still. I found it.
Oh, goodness.
Amazing.
Oh, I'll have to have a look at that. Dianne, we met at a pitch session for performers.
We did.
And I couldn't believe it when you explained that you do a show in a caravan to a very limited audience. Yes. In a regular-sized caravan. I couldn't believe that you do a silent disco, walking around with everybody dancing, listening to music, but nobody on the outside of the earphones can hear the music. So that must be really interesting, and we're going to talk about that.
Yep.
But because I've had the great pleasure to talk to a lot of performers, many who have come from Adelaide, let's start at the very beginning.
Okay.
It's a very good place to start. Oh. Now, you didn't come from Adelaide, you came from...
I did come from Adelaide.
Oh, did you?
Yeah. Well, tonight I did. Yes. No, I was born in Owen, which is, just north of Adelaide.
There you are. Well, not
and we
quite.
moved to Adelaide, to Brighton, when I was 3, and I started dancing around the lounge room all the time, so... Someone said to my mother, send that girl to dancing classes.
Such a familiar story, that is.
And
But you learnt mostly not here in Adelaide.
No. Then we moved to the southeast, and I was fortunate enough to go to Mount Gambier and work with Barbara Lees, who had been a Channel 7 ballet girl and an amazing choreographer, and she was married to a man who was a painter and a lighting designer, and we used to do these amazing shows that had, fluorescent, ultra-fluorescent black light and smoke, and rock ballets of Henry VIII and Cleopatra with a live snake.
It's no good without a live snake.
No.
Well, we've got the pictures.
Oh, yeah.
That's the beauty of this. So let's have a look at your life.
Okay. As
we trundle through all of the amazing things you've done. Yes. So you actually started off as this little girl. This was your...
This is my first dance class, Sugar Plum Fairy. I only went to maybe 3 classes in Brighton before we moved down to the southeast.
Right.
But it was enough.
But we've got a lot more pictures here, so let's just have a look at them in
That's
a run.
Barbara Lees.
Yes, so this is the woman who taught you.
Yes, she used to do a children's segment on Channel 8, the local station down, called Fun Fair.
Yep.
So I got to...
it was called Fun Fair and Channel 7 in Adelaide too.
Oh, right. So I got to appear on that a few times, do live broadcasts.
Brilliant.
We're moving along. And Pink Panther was my first solo, really,
very
with her.
Questionable Pink Panther
Well, they said it was a very mature version for a 12-year-old.
Yes.
But it was her choreography to put the tail through my legs.
But
like
we've got what you really look like with the tail.
Well, we had a reunion in 2010 and I restaged it with a little bit of improvised extras.
Love it.
Yeah. Oh, this is here at McGill campus. It was Hartley then. Mm-hmm. It was a children's theatre play and I was playing Prince Bulbo. It was my first review. They said she performs pratfalls with consummate skill.
Well.
And I've never stopped falling over since.
I was going to say, you were just tripping over the furniture.
Here you go, Rally, Drama Club, rally for staff cuts here. We got on the bus, we were singing songs, replaced lyrics, got to Parliament House, big rally there. So a bit of clowning was involved. And then when I finished the course here, which was Communication Studies Drama Major, I had a year off doing clowning and then thought, dance is still really my main love. So I auditioned for the dance course at Adelaide Uni. It was the SACAE
This
City
was a
then.
contemporary course then?
Contemporary, but we did everything.
Right,
we did
but you'd learned
ballet.
everything from the
That's
ground
right.
up. Jazz, tap and classical, as they say.
And modern.
Oh, and modern,
And then
yes, well.
contemporary. Yep. This was a costume unit I had to do.
Yes.
I was spreading my feminist wings here.
You were. A handy costume.
Stuffed hands
Handy
on
costume,
the boobs.
I'd
Yep.
say.
This is the Taparuchis, which was a tap dancing group I was in the 80s here in Adelaide. We used to describe ourselves as an enchanting blend of satire and mud wrestling in the tap dancing mode. So we used to do a routine called Putting on the Fritz, where we all
course.
dressed as different foods, junk foods.
Well, there's a lot of faces here.
This is, then when I finished the dance course, I set up a small company called Outlet Dance, and we used to work a lot with the live band Billy and the Redfins, so that's a little promo shot of all of us
Great shot.
there.
This is amazing.
When I moved to Melbourne in 1990 to join DanceWorks Contemporary Dance Company, and we're a small company, you know, you don't have big audiences, small seasons. I remember driving around one day looking up at billboards thinking, we should be up there. So I put the idea that we would do some elevated dance. So this is on the National Gallery wall out in
right.
the foyer of the forecourt
Yes.
of
I know where you
the
mean.
Art Centre.
Yes, I was only there.
We
a
had
couple of weeks ago.
scaffolding, we learned how to abseil, we became SES volunteers to learn how to abseil, climbing, abseiling.
How brilliant.
Yeah, and then we worked, because we had a great designer, we worked with Simon Barley, who had a company called Bamboo Co, and he built all these structures of bamboo, and he built this, it was almost like a ship on the pedestrian bridge over the Yarra, and this was sort of a jib that came out at one point. So we climbed and abseiled, did all these different routines, but I'm about 15 metres above the river there.
I was going to say, there is a safety harness there, was
Well,
there?
I'm attached, but you know, I'm just sort
You
of
don't wanna
standing there. I
fall.
just push out a flare, push myself off and around. I felt like Tank Girl, you know that movie?
Good luck, keep your fingers crossed. And Carmen Miranda?
Well, you know, as an independent artist, you sometimes do some other sort of roving work. This was singing telegrams. Carmen
Whatever
Miranda.
happened to singing telegrams?
I think they still exist.
Do they?
I don't know,
Oh,
maybe.
I haven't
I used to
seen or
finish
heard of
that act fire eating a banana.
Oh, of course you did. Taking the path least trodden.
Oh, okay. I worked at Dance House, which is an independent dance venue in Melbourne, and I was artistic director for a couple of years, so that was when I was taking over the reins. But I'd been working, after DanceWorks Company, I went to Deakin Uni and worked as a lecturer in dance and physical theatre and dance video there. I went to India on an AsiaLink residency. God, I feel like this is on speed. My life
Well, they say about
flashing
your life
before
flashing
my
before
eyes.
you.
Am I dying?
This
Am
is
I
one of
dying?
those times.
CPR.
No, you're okay. You're with me, you're safe.
So I made my first full-length work actually with this company. Malika Sarabhai ran this company in Ahmedabad. She was in Peter Brook's version of the Mahabharata, which I saw here in the Quarry back in '82,
Oh, gosh, I remember
Adelaide
that,
Festival.
yes. That was very controversial at the
She
time.
was a formidable woman. So I had got to work with a company of Indian dancers, and they had a whole...
Was this in India, still in
in
India? Where
India,
in
yeah.
India?
And they had a media department as well, so I could blend video and dance together in that work.
Where was this in India?
Ahmedabad, which is in Gujarat,
Okay.
near Rajasthan.
Yep.
I also went to Sweden on a residency and worked with a Swedish woman and a Japanese woman there in Lapland. That's an image from that. And in 2010, I met a woman with cerebral palsy. I was brought in to choreograph a play called Perfectly Imperfect, and she was the lead in that. And it was about issues to do with people with disability becoming parents. And the director said, now I want them to, there was 4 women in wheelchairs, some with speech, some not. And he said, I want to have a lovemaking scene and a birthing scene. So that was my role to try and, do that. And I said to Mel, I think, there's Mel, and I think both of those things might be better out of your chair. Would you mind getting out? Show me how you get out of your chair. And she gave me this very sort of look, and did this very, very slow motion sort of. It took forever to get down onto the floor. And afterwards, she told me that she'd never done that before. She just had stopped getting out of a chair. Anyway, so she got sort of hooked by dance, and we ended up having a shared practice together for 10 years.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, it's just moving through the arts in so many different ways. What's this?
This is a solo show I made in 2012 called Dance Interrogations. This is in the tunnels underneath. It used to be the Medina, now it's the Adina, but it's the old Treasury building.
The old Treasury building.
And they've got these great tunnels there.
I know, isn't that incredible? That is actually, because they used to bring, I believe, money up the river, and the tunnels were so that they weren't robbed coming up the street.
Yeah,
Incredible. Who knew?
Well, it was just sort of dirt, and so anyway, so I made a show in there, and then I took it to Edinburgh and did it in a little hotel room with, nothing but me and a couple of people in the audience. And then I thought, this has sort of got something, I might develop it. And I went to Deakin and did it as a PhD.
So this is interesting because this is a projection.
This is a projection of my face on my face.
Of course, doesn't everybody?
It just sort of, he is fleshing the interface. It's sort of blurring the edges between...
Oh, so that's what I was saying at the beginning. Very confusing. Now, we've got to take a short break, and I think you might need that after that long. It's always good to know what people have done, though, what brings them to the point we're now going to talk about in the next segment. We'll be back in a bit. Most amazing woman, Dianne Reid, is our special guest. We've just done a rush through her life. Yeah. We're going to rush a little bit more in a tick because we've sort of brushed over the work you did with Deakin University.
Yes, I worked at Deakin from 1996 to 2018 in varying capacities of tenured and casual.
But with dance?
Yes,
all with dance?
Contemporary dance.
And we have the footage.
Oh, yes, I've got a little bit of one of my sequences I do. The great thing about contemporary dance is it's your own syllabus. You're making up your own material.
Well, I think you're doing a good job cleaning the floor here.
Yeah. Oh, yes. Contemporary dance. Lots of mopping of the floor with your body.
That's no good without cleaning
beautiful
the floor.
Studios, though.
It is like the beautiful floor there.
Yeah.
But also, if only I was that young again. There she goes. Whoa. Oh. The thing that really fascinates me, and we just had a very quick flash there, is your show called Cabin Fever. Now, you've got to sort of start. How did this happen?
Well, I was actually about to move back here to Adelaide, and I'd had the Dance Interrogation show, which was in a train carriage and a convent hallway. And
so the venue's getting smaller.
That's right. My friend says your next show's going to be in an esky. But I was staying in a caravan park here, looking at properties to move back, and I just sort of, started daydreaming about the place and thought, you could put a projector there and project onto the bed, and wouldn't it be great? Because I love the idea of, because I've done a lot of roving and street performance, and because everybody is in sort of losing touch with their bodies, I love the way of bringing people back in close contact with the performer, but bringing them into the frame of the action and making them aware of their body as they watch.
Well, it's very intimate, really.
So I did it in a cabin first at the Adelaide Caravan Park. So I had a couple of rooms and I'd moved them into the bedroom for the last scene and jumped out of windows and did various things. And then I took it to Melbourne to the Fringe, and there's no central caravan park. And they said, look, we've got the hub this year at the Trades Hall. Why don't you
right in the heart of
hire
Melbourne.
a caravan and do it in the car park?
Why don't you hire a caravan?
So
and this is
I did, yes,
in the caravan.
I found a vintage caravan.
All vintage.
So I had to,
and it was so wise for us to team our clothing.
Oh, yes. we communicated telepathically
Obviously.
that way. I wore this when I met you, this outfit.
You did, in fact.
It's got the sort of nipple fabric, I call it, jumpsuit.
Well, it is.
But anyway, so it was only
how many people can get into the caravan?
I had a maximum of 8. Sometimes I squeezed a couple more in.
And how long is the show?
Only
the
30 minutes. 30 minutes, but it's jam-packed.
I bet it is, in the caravan.
Yeah, and I used interaction with the audience. We had some moments of dancing together, sometimes outside, sometimes back in. Sometimes they crowd surfed me. But then I had other projection parts. So then it got a bit spooky, and I projected little animations of myself on my body. And the last scene, I projected like a chalk drawing of a body on the bed that I interacted with, and I had some poetic text.
What's happening inside your mind?
It's very imaginative.
It is very imaginative. It is actually.
It's using sort of
madly imaginative.
Anatomical and physical metaphors for life, and really just trying to engage with other people's imagination.
Yes.
So I imbued the body with video of that accompanied the text. So we were like travelling from the feet up to the head and back down.
I just
cruising the length of the lymphatic.
Oh, okay. Oh, I understand.
Feeling
that.
the push and pull of the ellipsoid equator, accosting the intercostals.
Oh, of course. Nothing without that. Look, coming from a background of needing as many people in an audience as possible to having so few people as possible, but still having to put the same energy level and the same focus, the same mental stimulation that you have to have.
Well, I think you get more back in that because it is personal. I've had people that I've interacted in the dance interrogations. At one point I'd get someone's hand, I'd project the word hope into their hand, and then it sort of dissolved, and I'd close their hand, and you could have moments, and I've had people cry.
Yes.
But people,
I see that. I'm glad you just did that.
It's a personal connection.
Yeah, but that really makes a difference. Now we understand what you're doing, if that makes sense. That's wonderful. Well, that's wonderful. But the other thing that you do that blew me away was the silent discos. Just explain that.
There's a company called Guru Dudu's Silent Disco Walking Tours.
And they're in Melbourne.
They were originated by a fellow in Melbourne called David Naylor 10 years ago. And they just sort of took off. He started off just with his friends and he going into a park, queuing up their Walkmans to start a soundtrack at the same time and dance around. And he just kept developing it. He's in Edinburgh at the moment doing the Fringe over there. But it's just grown and grown. So we do it all year, private bookings and public tours. But the Fringe is when
it's big during the Fringe,
really takes off. We have 60 people in a tour and multiple tours a night. And it's just like my dream job. I had this list of things I wanted to do and tour guide was on it. And then this job came up. So it's great. I get to improvise.
Yes, but it's more than a tour. Well, it is a tour, but it's more than a tour. We've got some shots here of people doing stuff for it, which I love.
You know, we'll do catwalks, we'll do a bit of choir, we'll interact with different spaces with people.
But you're also amongst the general public as well.
That's right.
Who have no idea what's going on.
Sometimes we go into the restaurants and out, against the windows, singing to people.
And in this particular
around.
shot, they're doing...
Tragedy! Bee Gees.
I love it.
It's great fun. People get to sing and dance together and just be naughty, and that playfulness is something that we don't do all the time.
It's true, and as we get older, we lose our playful nature so much. How does this work? Do they give you the songs? Do you...
Oh, when we do the Fringe, I just come up with my own playlist.
Oh, okay.
So, you know, it follows a sort of dynamic trajectory, and maybe certain things will happen in certain spaces. You know, if I go into Ayers House, I might do Wuthering Heights in there or something more joyous and jumping around. We might do a catwalk down an alleyway. I might come to a place where I know there's going to be people sitting out in the beer garden and we can do, you know, Bohemian Rhapsody to them.
But they have no idea what you're hearing.
The
The people
general
watching,
public,
yes.
no, they might be able to guess what's going on.
Right.
But often, when you've got headphones on, I say to them, you know, these headphones are fitted with a special technology that makes your voice sound exactly like the artist that you're listening to. But usually it sounds like...
Are they singing too? Yeah, are they singing as well? Oh, okay, that's even better.
Yes.
So you're doing this for the Fringe this next year, obviously.
Oh, every Fringe, yep.
But also like companies that want to pull together their staff and just do some mad thing to...
office parties, lots of hens parties.
Now, what's happening in this shot?
This is Mel that I was talking about before, doing the Wuthering Heights. We made a video of it because in 2016 we had a performance and we couldn't get there, so we made a video on the moors.
And we're going
so
to
she's being the front half of Kate Bush and I'm being the back half.
We're going to show a little bit more of that. So are you constantly thinking of new ways of connecting, or are you comfortable now with the things that you've achieved? Because you've achieved so many things.
Well, they always sort of transform.
Including, as we're just talking about, your earrings, because you are a doctor.
That's right, Doctor of Dance.
And you happen to also be, they happen to be your initials as well.
That's right, Doctor, give me the news.
Yes.
Yeah.
Talking about blues.
Yeah.
Look, we've got to take another short break, but we'll be back and we'll show that Wuthering Heights bit right then. So stay with us for one moment more. Dr. Dianne Reid we've been talking to in this episode. I've got this pain in my foot. Can you fix it, Dr. Reid?
No, I can massage it because
please
I did
do.
massage it.
Oh, you're the first one that's massaged anything on this program in 14 years.
Okay, I'll just cross my legs the other way now.
Okay, I'll give you the other foot.
No.
So talk to me about this Wuthering Heights.
Well, it's an event that was started in the UK by a group called Shambush, trying to get the most Kate Bushes together in one place. And, you know, her initial single and video, Wuthering Heights, the Emily Bronte.
Ooh, I can't get up there anymore.
And she's in the red dress on the moors, being Kathy. So we all gather now. It's become a yearly event near her birthday in July, Kate Bush's birthday. And people gather and we all learn the routine and we do it together out in some lawn.
Crazy things.
It's great fun. It's great fun.
But you're right. You know, as human beings, sometimes I think we possibly have lost the ability to have fun, particularly as we get older, and age limits some of the things you're capable of doing, and we've forgotten so often what having fun actually is.
Exactly, and dressing up.
Oh, and dressing up. Yes, well... I suppose you, like me, have spent a lifetime dressing up as in weird things.
That's right. I've been all sorts of animals and other creatures.
So what's on the table for you next, apart from the caravan table?
Well, I'm writing at the moment, writing my memoir. I like to say autobiography. But that sort of cycle has happened. I've always felt like a writer. I was initially going to do journalism here, but they wouldn't let me do a drama major, so I switched to communication studies. But writing's always, my performance work is then writing feeds into it, or then I create a film in response to that. So there's sort of this transformation of artistic artefacts.
But it's also learning the new technology as well, so you can keep up with all of that.
Well, I learnt how to video edit doing my masters, and that's always been part of my practice too. I make screen dance work, and I make the projection work.
And projection on yourself, yes, of all different screen sizes being your body.
But with my book, I'm trying to transform or translate what it feels like for me as a performer. So trying to make sensation
I understand.
Come to life in
Dianne,
words.
It's been lovely talking to you. There's so much more we could talk about, and we will. But that's all we've got time for right now. Thanks again.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll see you very soon next time on Our Time, so keep yourself nice till then. Bye.